So in this tutorial we're going to make these two parts, which is a D-ring or lock ring for securing high tensile steel cables. So this this sort of product is made up of two pieces. You can see that we've got this body here, which if I open it in its own window, it's just a U shape with two holes through the center of these bosses. Normally one of these bosses would have threads on the inside, and then if we go back and look at it, the pin would be threaded on one end, and you would push the pin through the bottom of the U shape and then twist the pin to screw the pin home to lock the pin in. So this is a nice part just to show what the sweep can do. So on the body here we just used a sweep feature to create the body, and then on the end of the pin here, because these pins are flattened so that you can grab them easily with your fingers to tighten them down, this is a lofted feature. So within this assembly we've got a sweep and a loft. So we're going to look at how you create these parts. So if we just open up the body portion of the ring again, and then we're just going to recreate this part. So if you want to open a new window, File, New, double click on New Part, and again when you come in here you may be able to see your base planes, you may not. If you can't see them, you've got the visibility option up here that turns them on and off, and then you can select them in the feature tree over here and either hide them or show them. So yeah, that's your base planes. So what we're going to do first is we're going to sketch the U shape, and then we're going to sketch the profile shape. So we're going to sketch the U shape on the front plane here. So if we go front plane sketch, and again if your system doesn't rotate round to look at the front plane normal to the plane, then you can make it do that by clicking your view drop down here and just hitting normal to. So I'll just do that one more time. So say yours is slightly off axis like this. You want to view a plane that you've just selected normal to the plane or 90 degrees to the plane. You open up the view menu and then just there's a normal to icon. Right. So I think one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to put a center line in here, because the two sides of this U shape are identical, so we're going to use a mirror sketch option to create that. So if you just select center line, your center line may be in this drop down menu. There it is, center line. We're going to lock one end of the center line to the origin. I'll just select mine again. We're going to lock one end to the origin, and then you can see I'm placing the second end of the line. I'm just going to put the other end of the line down here and allow that to lock itself to this plane as well. So you can see it's coincident to the vertical plane, and this end of the line is coincident with the origin. Then I'm going to get the standard line tool up here. I'm going to put a vertical line in there, and then I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to use the mirror entities option in the sketch ribbon up here. So mirror entities, I already had the line selected there, so it's put the line in the first box. What entities do I want to mirror? If the line wasn't in there already, or if I didn't have it pre-selected, I can just click on it there and it pops into that box. So that's what I want to mirror. It's then going to ask me in this box here, if I just click on that box, what do I want to mirror that line about? And I want to mirror it about the center line. So if I just select the center line, you can see I'm getting a preview of what's going to happen, and that looks good, so we'll OK that. And then I think we will dimension these up. We'll put the distance from one line to the other line, and I think we'll dynamically drag that down to let's say 50. If we can get it to lock to 50, we'll type 50 in there. There we go. So the next piece of this sketch is the arc that's joining these two together. So there's a few ways to do that. There's an arc tool up here. There's a few different types of arcs. We've currently got the 3-point arc selected, so I think we'll stick with that. And the 3-point arc is asking you to select the start point of the arc, which we're going to have as the top of one line, the end point of the arc, which we're going to have as the top of the other line, and then the curvature of the arc. So you can see the midpoint of the arc is what I'm now defining, and depending on where I put that, I get less curvature or more curvature. So we'll just drop that there, and I've just hit escape to get out of the arc tool. So the next thing that we want to do is put a relationship between this arc and these two lines, which means that these lines run into the arc in a nice smooth fashion. We don't want a harsh angle between them, which is what we've got now. So the way that we're going to do that is select the arc, hold down Control, select the line, so you can see we've got them both selected, and then we're going to put a tangent relationship over here between the two. So you can see it messes with the lengths of my lines because I've not actually defined what length I want them yet. So maybe it would be wise to put that dimension in, put a length on these. It's a little too short at the moment, so let's drag that up to something more reasonable. 50mm is reasonable for that, so we're happy. And you can see that almost everything in the sketch now has been locked down. Everything has turned black, which means it's fully defined. The only thing that's underdefined is the end of this line of symmetry, this center line. So if you wanted to lock that down, one of the ways that you could do it, you could put a dimension on that, or you could just select that, select one of the legs, say, and just put an equal relationship between them. So that's not necessarily required, but it's just good practice not to leave floating points in your sketches, because at some point, for whatever reason, the system may shrink this line down to very, very small, and it may be difficult for you to see it, which is not ideal. It's best to be aware of everything that you've put in the sketch and where it is at any given point. So we can OK that sketch now. And again, my sketch has disappeared, but it's because I clicked on this icon up here to hide all entities. If I click off that, you can see everything comes back. So that was just hiding everything listed on the menu here. So you can see all the different types of things. There's planes, there's curves, there's sketches in there. So if you click on it, it hides everything apart from solid geometry. So that's our path. The next thing that we need is the profile shape that we're going to send along this path when we do the sweep feature. So the fact that I sketched the path to intersect with this plane, which is our top plane, is a good thing, because it means I can just use the top plane to sketch my profile shape on. So if we click the top plane, click on sketch, and you can see I'm looking from, if we like, above the D shape, which is not ideal, so I'm going to spin back round and look at it from this end. And then I'm just going to select the circle tool in the sketch menu and let the center of the circle lock itself to one of the legs of this first sketch. So you can see that it's locked itself onto the end. We'll just drop that circle, so click the second time and drop it, and then get the dimension tool and put a reasonable dimension on there. So let's drag that till it looks about right. Let's say 6mm. Let's size that up slightly, something like 9mm. So that's our profile shape. So if we OK that, we have the two things that we need to create the sweep now. So we're going to select the sweep feature up here, and we need to give it two sketches. The first sketch is the profile shape, so you can see by the icon there it's representing the profile shape of the sweep. So if we just select the first sketch, that's the profile shape, and then the next one is the path that we're going to send it along. So you can see again it's similar sort of icon, but the thing that's highlighted in this icon is the path. The profile's been greyed out there, so it's giving you a little clue as to what it's asking of you. So if we select any part of the path sketch, and you can see we get instantly a preview of the solid that it's going to create. So that looks good. So we'll OK that. At this point I'm just going to flick back to the original just to check some of the dimensions. So you can see that the legs on this one were 30mm tall, it was 30mm side to side, and the profile sketch, if we just quickly click on there, was 6. So I might change our version to reflect that. So 30 and 6. So if we drop back into our part, I can literally just double click on this, gives me my driving dimensions, and I can just enter the dimensions that I need in these boxes. And we'll put a 6 for the profile. Now you can see it's not updated with all those changes. If I want to make that update, it's this little rebuild icon at the top of the screen here. You can see when I press that, it recalculates what I should be seeing in the graphics window. So that's the sweep portion of the body made already. So let's have another look at what comes next on this version. And it's a boss extrude. So you can see a boss has been put on the end of one of these legs, and that boss is 12mm from the center line, 6mm thick, and 11mm in diameter. So we'll try and recreate that. So we're going to sketch on the right plane, get the circle tool. I think this was 12mm, I can just hit 12mm there. And then we're going to do an extrude feature. Now this extrude feature, rather than starting at the sketch, it's going to start at an offset distance from the sketch, and the way that I set that is this from drop down menu. By default it's from the sketch plane, but I want to put an offset value in there. So you can see when I add some offset to that, the resulting solid is being offset away from the sketch plane. So that was 12mm, and then the depth of that was 6mm to match the leg. So I want to OK that now. That looks good. Happy with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that solid and mirror it about the center line. So that boss extrude feature is going to be mirrored about the right plane to put an identical feature on this side of the part as well. So I select the mirror feature. The first box is asking me for a mirror face or plane. That mirror face or plane is going to be the right plane here, and then it's asking me for some features that I want to mirror in this next box. So that would be this boss. So there you go. It's giving me a little preview of what it's going to do. I'm happy with that. And there you go, there's a mirror image of this boss extrude on that side of the part. So again, I'm going to drop back in to my original and see where we are. The next feature would be a fillet feature that we're going to put on. So let's put that on. So you simply just select one of the edges that you want to fillet, and you get this quick access toolbar. That's the fillet option there. And you can see, because I by default have tangent propagation ticked over here, it means that any lines that are tangent to that original edge that I picked also get filleted. So what that means is, if I turn tangent off, it simply fillets the edge that I picked in the blue box here. Whereas if I switch it back on again, it realizes that this edge round the other side of the part is actually tangent to this edge, so they run into each other. so it's happy to continue the fillet all the way around. So that's a good option in this case. It means that it minimises the amount of edges that you have to pick. And I think we'll bump that up to 3mm for that radius. So we've got one feature left, which is the circular cut through the centre of these two bosses. In this instance I'm going to sketch on the outside of one of the bosses. So if I select the outside face, click on sketch, and then I'm going to sketch a circle which is going to match the diameter of the pin. So I'm going to have it as 6mm, and then I just need to extrude cut all the way through. And in this case I don't want to give this a figure for the depth of the cut, I just want to say through all, so that will send it through all geometry in the part. So there you go. Click on OK, and that's the D-ring finished. So that's our D-ring part.